Welcome, everybody, to the Movie Mechanics podcast. I am Sam, the movie mechanic. Today, I am joined by an actor, writer, director, well known for his portrayals of Old Joe, the junkyard manager in Breaking Bad, Mr. Heckles and Friends, Carl and Billy Madison, and many, many other roles. He's been a member of comedy groups, Second City in Chicago, and The Committee in San Francisco, where he was a founding member. And ironically, he's played both a homeless man and God multiple times.
I played God as a homeless man.
Well, today I welcome Mr. Larry Hankin to the show. Mr. Hankin, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Well, thank you very much. I'm just curious about the title and how the mechanics work.
Well, the moniker movie mechanic came from my desire to fix movies that I found disappointing.
Oh, how did you ever succeed, or was it just a philosophical kind of fix?
I mean, they're basically just rewriting the endings to movies as kind of like a blog series.
Oh, okay, cool.
My favorite one was a movie called In Time with Justin Timberlake, and where he has like a clock in his arm. That's kind of how I got started.
I tuned that out. Yeah, I thought. I mean, I watched it for a while, and then somehow it lost me. Or
yeah, well, about the halfway through the second act, it kind of loses its beat on reality.
Mojo.
So yeah, I rewrote the ending, but I wanted to start with an interesting math fact that says that if you have a group of 23 people, there's a 50% chance that at least two of those people will share a birthday. But
really?
You and me are just two people, and there's 100% chance that we share a birthday.
I ordinarily I would go, oh wow, that's really cool, but I don't think there's too many people who actually know my birthday.
December 7th, right?
There you go, December 7th.
Me too.
Holy cow, that's great. Although I don't want too many people to, it's just out of the bag now, too many people to know my birthday, because I never tell my birthday accurately. Now, I never tell the right day and date, because years ago, this happened years ago, and I just kept it up. There was a gray ceiling. You know, once your hair turned gray as an actor, you were dead, man. It was over. So I dyed my hair for a while. A lot of actors did that, but it was just too much of a bother, and you needed the roots and everything. Screw it, I'd rather not work. So I kept up the line. That you know, I just would say, you know, when's your birthday? August 25th. Oh, I never said what my birthday was. I always just said, yeah, that's right. They just go, well, what do you think my birthday is? And they go, blah, blah, blah. And I'd say, yeah. So the reason that I'm telling you all of this is there's an upside to all of that.
Okay.
And the upside is that because I did that and I wasn't aware of it, I would just, you know, yeah, what do you think? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you're right. And I kept doing that. And now, just randomly, I get these birthday greetings and happy birthdays all through the year. It's a gift. Hey, Larry, happy birthday. Thanks.
Sure. Why not? Why not today?
Why not? So I never shut it down. I just let it go. And
That's so funny.
Great, man. Every once in a while, happy birthday. Great. Thank you.
Well, that's another thing we share. I'm also suspicious of people who know my birthday.
Yeah. It just says, well, why do you want to know that? You know, are you a producer?
Yeah.
You're a casting director. And then my other friends who are writers, they had the same problem as screenwriters. If you're, I mean, I don't know how they, wow, there's something on my screen. I don't know how they know that you're an older person. Maybe they just looked at your history. But a lot of my writer friends, when they got older, they couldn't get writing jobs because we want fresh talent, you know, that kind of thing. We want fresh blood. So it doesn't, in this industry anyway, now I don't think it makes too much difference now, because there's a whole, I get more compliments about my age than I do about, hey, no, we're not hiring. Uh, when I was growing up, my grandfathers were a big deal to me, both of them. They were, very high in my esteem.
Sure.
And I kind of depended on them for just, saying groovy things to me about the future. Larry, when you grow up, blah, blah, blah. And so I just kept that in mind. Now, and then there was this time in 90s to the about 2010, 25. There was, you couldn't get a job. I think it was even before that. It was like the 70s. Once the hippie generation kind of died out, old people were, everybody wanted young people. And then now it started coming back because now the younger people really appreciate, not too much in politics, but in life. Politics is a whole different story, but in life, they do appreciate age. They think that you have some knowledge to bring forth, So I try, I do my best, but
Yeah.
but now there's more respect now than there was years ago.
Yeah, that's interesting that you bring that up. But I've noticed that a lot of the kind of science fiction topics that get produced in movies are really analogies for stuff that we do in real life.
Oh yeah,
One of
yeah.
those is like time travel. If you want to see the future in real life, all you need to do is talk to your parents or your grandparents, right? And they'll tell you what the future is going to be. What do you think about that?
Well, I do that. So I think you're right on. That's what I do. I go back because I know a lot of stuff from, way back when I was born and growing up, and things repeat. Like, for instance, I grew up, I came of age. It's not that I grew up, but I came of age. I became a critical thinker during the 60s. Hippies, and I was a hippie and blah, blah, blah. So now I see the reflection and I thought, oh, we had in the 60s, we had the answer. The young people, we were hippies and we had the answers. Well, it turns out we didn't have the answers, but what we did have and didn't know it was we had the foreshadowing of the future, because all the shit that we were up against then is now here and it's too late. It's shit already. And it's encased in the vox populi, in the system.
Yeah.
Now all the lies are just, now we accept lies. See, then we hated lies and we said everybody's lying, and everybody said, "Whoa, you guys are right on," but nobody did anything about it. They just kept on lying until the 60s left.
Yeah.
Now lying, and everybody admits it. Yeah, everybody's lying. So what? So I can predict the future. It was now this is the future.
Right.
It's just going to get more future because nobody cares. We're all in our comfort zone now. The 60s, we could fuck with the comfort zone. We could say, hey man, you're in your comfort zone. You got to get out of your comfort zone. You got to get back to. Now nobody cares. It's over. It's no.
Wow, that's a bummer, right? That's
Isn't it a
bummer
bummer?
attitude. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the future. A bummer.
Yeah.
I do see, just to give it a fair both sides,
Sure.
that's my opinion. What you just heard is my opinion. I do see people who are dealing with the future, the real future, that, but now they, like, for instance, we got 20 years. That's the new thing. 20 to 30 years before we got to get our crap together. And then because the climate change is the big thing.
Right.
So we got 20 years. We don't have 20 years. We don't. But I see people trying to change the toxicity of the ocean. I see people trying to clean the air. I see corporations trying to clean up their mess. I see that they're waking up. None of this fucking woke crap. It has nothing to do with that. It's just they're becoming to realize, but it's too late. It's too late. In 20 years, it's going to be just like the world is going to be a third world planet. You know, we're not doing enough, nor can enough be done, I don't think. But I see people trying, and that's cool. But I think what it does is it just puts everybody back in their comfort zone. Yeah, people are taking care of it. I hear word that, you know, if you can't get China and Russia on board, it's silliness.
Yeah, you know, that's an interesting look, but it reminds me of your character from Escape from Alcatraz, Charlie Butts. He was an inmate. He goes through all the work of planning the escape and digging the tunnel, but then he hesitates and he regrets it. So, what do you say to people who hesitate or who may be hesitating so that they don't live with regrets?
You're fucked. Let me clear up one thing. I think you read on Charlie and the philosophical content, not the intent, because we weren't thinking about that. We were trying to make a movie, you know.
Right.
But I grok your takeaway, and that's really good. Now I want to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I want to reveal the truth. You know the truth, but I want to reveal it about the movie and what you just said. Charlie Butts had a line in the movie, and I based the character on the line. The line is not in the movie. So they took away the intent of my character. Oh, well, actually, Don Siegel took the line away from me. He came over to me. He said, cut that line. And I said, no, I based my character on that line. And he said, the audience doesn't have to know everything. I said, okay. The line that he cut was, but I can't swim.
Wow. Changes everything.
You bet. And I think he knew it. He wanted your takeaway or any other takeaway. He didn't want the takeaway.
Right.
And by just taking away those three words, it changes everything. And so that's just I revealed. Well, it's not the reveal the truth. It's what's called what do they say about politics when you can see everything? You know, what's
omniscient?
No, and really, the omniscient is no, really, we're letting you see what we're doing.
Oh, okay. That's behind the curtain. Look behind the curtain, like Wizard of Oz.
Well, yeah, but politics now has a name for that. Exposure or complete admission or something like that. No.
Okay.
But anyway, so that's what I just did. I just revealed something which changes everything, but it doesn't change anything. It just gives you a more wider scope as to how they make movies or what you got to believe. And the sin of omission is just as bad as the lie itself in the big picture, not in the movie. But I just want to clear that up.
That reminds me of a line, well, not a line, but something I heard Giancarlo Esposito say about Gustavo Fring from Breaking Bad, where he said, when I auditioned for the role, I played the character as if he had a secret that he was trying to keep. And
that's right.
Yeah, and that changed everything, because they had just written him as just a normal character, and then he came in with this idea that he was keeping a secret, and it changed everything.
Here's another thing about acting that all actors, especially him and me and all actors, know, and that is your backstory. It's called your backstory, and what your backstory is the story that is not in the script. That's a backstory. If it's in the script, it's the narrative. It's part of the narrative. So when you go to acting school to learn about acting, you're told get a backstory, and the backstory is your secret. It's your wound. What is your wound? What is, in other words, what you're doing in the movie? Pick something that would cause you to be doing all that in the movie, and that's your backstory.
Yeah.
So his backstory was a secret, and I'm sure that if you quizzed him on it, he could tell you what that secret was, because it would be specific to what he had to do in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, a secret where my mom, I was a drug baby. In other words, my mom did drugs when I was born. So I became a drug dealer at a very young age, or I became hooked or whatever. And that's my secret. It has nothing to do with you. But now, you know, in this drug story, it helps me, you know, the actor. So all actors do that. They just don't tell anybody. And sometimes you have to invent it. I mean, that's part of the actor's job. In other words, your backstory is not part of the narrative. You're given a script and you make up your backstory. And each, for the same character, many actors will have different backstories, different secrets.
Sure.
But all of them is a secret, you know. And sometimes I'll go a little further. This is just on the edge of what I just said. And sometimes they just base it on something in your costume. Like some actors will actually choose to wear a half a size smaller than just so their feet is a little pain, and that's their backstory. In other words, it comes through, and then, you know, oh, he's so wounded. He's, you know, no, I got my too small shoes on. A lot of people, you know, call the hat. I saw a movie. I don't know what one it was. The guy who played Columbo, that actor.
Yeah.
You know his name?
Peter
I don't
Falk.
know. What?
Is it Peter Falk?
Peter Falk. Yeah, he was doing some foreign film, and I saw the foreign film, and he was playing an actor, and they gave him a costume. In the movie, he was putting on his costume, and then, you know, they gave him the costume, and he put it on, and he had it on, and he said, "I need a hat," and or he said, or he needs a hat. The character he was playing said he needs a hat, and there was this entire scene in the dressing room, in the costume department, where Peter Falk they have a whole stack of hats, all kinds of different, and he's just standing in front of a mirror and he's putting them on. And then he would take another one and put them on. And just for actors, it was just so fucking great, man, because you saw what, you know, the secret. Yeah. It was the hat that was going to give him the, in Batman, in the first Batman, the big expensive one. I don't know who was playing the original Batman. I forget. But then on the second Batman, or the third or the fourth, when they changed the actor, when they got a new actor, can't remember who it was. I do know, but I can't remember. He came to the first actor and he said, "Oh, he came to the first actor. He said, 'Look, I got this costume on. You know, we were rehearsing, so they put this incredible rubberized costume on the face and the, you know, with the muscles and everything like that. And the mask was over his." And he went to the first actor and he said, "How the hell do you act in that thing?" "Yeah, I can't act. I can't do anything in that thing." "How did you do it?" And the first actor said, "Well, I learned, but you let the costume do the acting. Just be there." Boom, again, backstory. It's how you don't do anything, just looking at the guy, you know, this guy's magic, he can fly, he can beat me up. It's the costume, you know, there's a skinny guy in there. So yeah, that opens up a whole thing. I mean, the backstory. It's a big thing with me, as you can tell, because I had to discover it myself. I never went to acting school or
Yeah.
acting. I had to just pick it up, and finally one day, somebody just said, "Well, blah blah blah." And then when he took away that was the Don Siegel thing. When he said, "Lose that line," I mean, it crushed me. Here I had gone into all this trouble of looking through the entire script to find, what can I base the character on? Because I had learned, and he took it away. I mean, I was shocked. I don't think I think he was surprised at my reaction. No, you can't do that. I really tried to not take it out. I said, no, I based the whole character on that. And he just laughed and just said, audience doesn't have to know everything. He just blew me off. He was a great director, man. I mean, I learned so. I followed him around like a puppy.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, what does it matter? I mean, it matters a lot, but taking out
and then seeing
line.
him, being left alone,
Yeah.
and they're out there. I tell you what it does do, and I realize it. It does make me standing there all alone, that character, more powerful, not knowing, because what you thought and what the audience does think, what you thought, it comes from inside.
Yeah.
Not from something I just said at one point, or that I couldn't swim. It comes from, not being able to man up, or, that kind of, all that kind of shit. Acting is interesting.
It is interesting. And speaking of backstory, you have created this character, Emmett Demas, who's very hilarious.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very funny. I enjoyed the shorts that you put out. He's an outlaw. He's a rogue. He marches to his own beat. What makes him tick, and what inspired you to create Emmett Demas?
Again, you never know where inspiration or art comes from. You just see it when it's done or hear, while you're doing it. You go, oh, this is what. When I was very young, I'm talking about when I was in my 20s, my early 20s, I was in the committee. And I was watching television. So I was an improviser. I was on stage. And I was watching television at home, and I was watching, sitcoms. And I noticed that all the fathers in the sitcoms and the moms, I first noticed it with the moms, and then I just kind of went over to the dads. All the moms in the sitcoms were ex-movie stars. And now they were moms. And then I just went over to about a year later, after I was going, wow, man, when actresses become between 35 and 40, their feature film years are over. Once they get a little gray, that's it. They're now sitcom moms. Even if they dye their hair, that's it. You're finished. And that's another reason why I started to not tell my age. So I switched over to the dads. I started looking at the dads, and sure enough, 45 to 50, you were now a sitcom dad. And all of them were sitcom dad. And then, just to jump ahead of the story a little, and then Bryan Cranston broke the mold. A sitcom dad who became a feature film star.
Right.
Whoa! But it was too late. I had made my adjustment. The adjustment that I made when I was watching and seeing all these sitcom moms and dads, and I say, oh my God, when I get to be 45 or 50, I'm going to become a sitcom dad. And I just didn't want to do it, man. And I was in my 20s. And I started thinking then to get around that. I would get out of acting if I had to do that. I just didn't want to do it. When I got to that age, I don't think I would have gotten out of acting. But anyway, I mean, that was what I said when I was 25. But I started to think of how could I get around it. And one of the things I thought of was, I'm going to invent a character that's 70 years old and has white hair, so that when I become 45, like Chaplin, I played older. Chaplin was 18 when he came up with The Little Tramp. He just put on that mustache and a too big suit, but a too small jacket. But he was an office worker. He was a poverty-stricken office worker, somebody who was out of a job. Not that in other words, he had a job, and now he just wore this suit that he had, or one that he found. Um, but he played older, and he played older until he couldn't play older, and he became Monsieur Verdoux. That was the movie where he tried to actually change the world's mind. I'm not the little tramp anymore. I'm a rich, evil guy who's very funny. But it worked, but it didn't work like Charlie, you
Right.
know. But I saw what was, so I said, yeah, but if I'm 25 and I'm 45, I could play 70 for a long time until I grew into it, which I have that now. I can play that easy. So my hair grew. So that's where Emmett came from. The fear at 25 of growing to be 45 and becoming a sitcom dad. So for all those years, I worked on it. And then I got an email, I got a snail mail from my sister. I was about in my 50s. And I got a letter from my sister in Florida. And she said, I was looking through all the stuff that we've collected over the years. She saved stuff, from family stuff. She's one of those people. And she said, look what I found. And she sent it to me. And it was a drawing I made of Emmett, the Emmett that the 70-year-old Emmett that I made in 1976. There was a date on the drawing. And I didn't do Emmett until 1980. So that's 16 years ahead, at least. And I did The Outlaw Emmett Demus. And that was a famous movie, a film short. And then but it cost me so much money to make films, and nobody would give me money to make a film about a 70-year-old film short. So I had to pay for them all myself. So the rest of the time, and there's a lot of them now, there's about 7 or 8 at least. I paid for them all, and then it just, I can't do that anymore. I mean, it's just too expensive to, but at least I laid down the groundwork, and now I just write screenplays for them. So, so eventually I'll play Emmett eventually. I mean, in the screenplay, but
Yeah,
that's where he came from. It was the fear of being a sitcom dad.
that's really interesting. I mean, you've also written or published this book. You do a lot of writing, but you published a book a couple of years ago, the Loopholes Dossier, sorry, which is kind of a collection of a lot of fables, stories, rants, poems, and a haiku, right?
Yeah.
So how much of the writing process is about you rewriting your own experiences, and how much of it is just pure imagination?
Well, I can only speak for myself. So I'm going to speak as if it's, but here's what I did. I just wrote. When I was in the committee, I was on the stage, we were doing, we were improvising scenes, and then I would go home and write scenes just to see if I could write as funny as these improvs that we did that the audience thought was hilarious. So I thought, well, I'm in those scenes that I'm improvising. Can I write that? So that's where the writing started. So I would just write. And then since I was writing, I would write songs, because that comes easy. And, I was trying to learn to play the guitar. So they would just, how it started was just writing for one reason or another. Nothing, I wasn't putting anything on paper that I could sell, or there was a reason for it. Is I had a lot of time at home. So I would write, instead of watching television, or hanging out or getting high, or I get high and write, whatever. It was just something to do. But the more you do something, the better you get. I mean, that's just how it goes, you know. So I was just writing and I was starting to like it. And nobody was telling me what to write. That was the other reason I could write. Okay, given all that, a lot of writing started and I was just writing. And now I was just thinking, well, maybe I can sell it, you know. And so you started to get on that high horse of, hey, this is really good. Now I'm getting professional. I started to see something, and that was that all of it was fantasy. I mean, I wasn't thinking about, I'm trying to get out some stuff. I was just writing, singing a song, writing a scene, or trying to write a better scene than the one I did tonight. So it was on that topic. I started to see that, wow, there's hardly any imagination in this at all. It's all me. It's all me. My imagination is just covering it over and glossing it over, or painting it red instead of blue, or making him fat instead of skinny, or making him my father instead of a cop. But it was all about my life, you know, where the cop was my father, and you know, the guy in the handcuffs was my buddy, the drug dealer, and I was this guy, and all of it, man. And so the reason I did that little excuse that, well, this is mine. I think all imagination comes only from you. It's all you, man. God is you. Your worst enemy is you. Your writing is you. Your acting is you. It's all you. And you know, what do? You skew it, you twist it, you dress it up, you put a funny hat on it. But it's all me. And now I'm writing another. So that book is all me.
Yeah.
It's if you because I read the book, you know, lately I read the book because I'm writing another book. I just want to see.
Sure.
And when I'm reading it, I'm saying, oh my God, because it was so far, it was a couple of years ago. So now I'm objective about it. It's not still covered with my imagination. It's now I can look at it naked.
Right.
The book is naked. And I go, that's me. I was writing about, oh, that's my girlfriend. I mean, I really could identify them. That is Londa. Holy cow. And I didn't even know it. The only hint I had was Dylan once said in one of his interviews, I discovered who they were asking him about a song. They said, you know, well, what does it mean? And blah, blah, blah. And all he said was, I just realized that it was me. That was me I was writing about. And he stopped it there. He doesn't always give complete answers. He likes to give you half an answer. It's a very great, because he sucks you in with it, you know. But I think that's what he was referring to, the fact that all the songs were him. I mean, now look, I can write a song about you. I can write a song about, or a scene about us doing this interview. So I'm writing me, and then I'm writing you. I don't know you, you know, but
Right.
Okay. So I write a scene about an interview I had on Zoom. Okay. And I want to sell it. So I'm writing about you, and I'm making up stuff about you and things I, get from what you have on your wall and what you said and blah, blah, blah. But really, when it's all finished in 2 or 3 years, when I look back on it, it's me, and I dressed it up with a lot of your stuff.
Yeah.
So you don't see it's me at all. You think it's somebody, it's somebody else, you know. Now, if you read it, you say, well, yeah, but that's not me. Who gives a fuck? So, it's somebody else and me, it's,
Yeah.
or it's to me. So art, I'm discovering as you get deeper into that, again, Dylan had a very big influence on my writing. And I think he said there was a thing on one of his albums in the 60s on back, he used to write little things on the back of his, the big LP albums. And he used to write little stories on the back. And in one of the stories, he said, near the end, he said, I had a dream where I was crawling. No, I asked the sage, I have a lock, and and a great secret is inside, but I don't have a way to open up the lock to get to the secret. And the sage said, the key to the secret is down in the well. And he looked in the well and he said, how deep is the well? And the sage said, how deep do you want to go? So that's what I've been learning about art. The more you learn about it, the more you learn about yourself, because it's all you.
Yeah.
It's just you don't know it. And sometimes you never know it, and you never were curious, and it's fine. You know, maybe Picasso didn't know anything about himself, but he had great art. But all that art is him. All the paintings of his wives and his girlfriends, they're all how he saw them. I mean, you know, based a little on their personality and stuff and whatever we could use, sure. But I always remember that. How deep do you want to go, boy? Yeah, because like music and art, you can go as deep as you want, as you can. It just, there's no bottom to that stuff. No bottom to your imagination. How deep do you want to go?
That's wonderful. You know, Larry, it seems like you're always working. What are some projects that you're working on that we should be looking for?
Well, this book that I'm writing, it's about I can't tell you the name yet because I don't know what I've written yet. I haven't finished the book. When you finish the book, then you give it a title. But it's about my time in show business. It's how I got into theater, how I got into improv, how I got into movies. Just I'm a performer. I'm a story. I'm a born storyteller. That's what I am. I just, coming out of the womb, I was a storyteller, but I used it in different ways, and I kind of I'm a performer. That's how I become an actor. I'm a storyteller.
Yeah.
But if you give me a narrative and a character, I can help you tell your story. It's that talent that makes me a good actor, the storyteller part. I'll help you, my character, tell the story. So that's how I fit in, but I'm not an actor. I mean, there's stuff that actors do that there's no way, long soliloquies and stuff. And I just don't have the time or the inclination or the focus to pay that much attention for that long. I'm just also dyslexic, so it doesn't help.
Well, are you on social media? Is there a place where you want?
Well, I have
people to look for you?
Facebook. Well, you can go, I paint. These are my paintings. So I paint. See that, so I have 40 of them, 40 paintings, and they're for sale, and they're on T-shirts. So I have a website, thereallarryhankin.com. And it's called thereallarryhankin.com because somebody stole my larryhankin.com and want, ransom, and I'm not going to pay it. So it's thereallarryhankin.com. And on there's all my movies, Emmett movies, all the Emmett movies, all my movies, my film shorts. There's one long one that I made out of several film shorts that I just tacked together because they had a sequence, a narrative. And there's these paintings that are, I have them up there for museum quality. In other words, they're museum prints, basically.
Yeah.
And they're like, $350, $500 each. They're that big. They're like 3 feet by 4 feet, 5 feet, whatever size you want. But